I never imagined that the celebration meant to be the warmest and brightest moment of my life would turn into a point of no return. The exact second after which everything began to crumble, as if someone had quietly nudged a glass sphere down a slope and it could no longer stop. We'd been preparing for the baby shower for an entire week. I picked pastel ribbons, baked little cloud-shaped cookies, hung paper stars from strings so they'd sway under the ceiling, and filled the house with the scent of vanilla and new hope. My belly was already big. My son kicked inside as if he wanted to remind me he'd soon enter this world, and I smiled even when I was exhausted. When the first guests arrived, the house filled with voices, gentle laughter, the clinking of glasses filled with non-alcoholic champagne, and for a moment, I genuinely believed everything would be perfect. My friend Katie brought a huge bouquet of pale blue hydrangeas, my favorite flowers, though I'd never told her that. And the gesture touched me even deeper. She hugged me softly, as if afraid to break me, and whispered, "You deserve happiness. Remember that." I didn't understand why she said it that way, but later that sentence became an anchor for me. My mother sat on the sofa, smiling, holding a tiny baby booty she had knitted herself. The neighbors brought pies, coworkers carried beautifully wrapped gifts. Everyone seemed so sincere, so joyful, as though we weren't just celebrating my baby, but something bigger. A new life, a new chapter, a new chance. There was only one person in that room who behaved differently. My husband. He stood by the wall with his arms crossed over his chest as if he were cold, though the house was warm. He barely smiled, though he was usually the life of any gathering. His eyes never stayed in one place, shifting from me to the guests, from the guests to the floor, from the floor to the door. And every time he accidentally met my gaze, he flinched and looked away. At first, I thought he was simply nervous. After all, becoming a father is a huge step. But something in the way he avoided my touch, the tightness in his jaw, the way he pressed his lips together, it all whispered a different story, a story I couldn't yet articulate. When it was time for the toast, my mother asked everyone to form a semicircle around me. She gave a sweet, heartfelt speech that made me cry. The guests clapped. And then all eyes turned to my husband because the father's toast was always the highlight of the celebration. I smiled at him. Only I noticed how he swallowed hard, as if someone had thrown him on stage unprepared. He raised his glass, and silence filled the room. Even the baby inside me seemed to pause. I want to say, but his voice cracked. He tried again, "I want to thank everyone for coming." His words sounded mechanical. I took a step toward him to hold his hand, to give him support, but he subtly stepped back. And for the first time that day, something sharp and cold stirred inside me, a feeling I didn't yet understand. And he inhaled deeply, closing his eyes before saying the words that shattered the room in half. "This baby will change a lot, and maybe not for the better." A few people laughed awkwardly, thinking it was a joke, but he didn't smile. He stared somewhere above the guests' heads, as if looking for an escape route. My mother's mouth fell open. Katie slowly lowered her glass. The silence thickened like fog. And then he added the sentence that made everything inside me collapse. "I'm not sure that I'm ready, or even that this is right." It felt like the floor disappeared under my feet. Someone dropped a plate, and the breaking ceramic sliced through the air. I stood there, holding my belly, staring at the man I loved as if he were a stranger who had suddenly walked into my life and stolen something precious from me. The guests looked away, unsure how to react. Someone tried to change the subject, but it was too late. The celebration died in that moment. He set his glass on the table without looking at me and walked outside. Just left. I didn't chase him. My legs felt cemented to the floor. The baby inside me kicked again, but this time the movement felt anxious, not joyful. Only one voice broke the silence, my mother-in-law's. She stood by the window and in a quiet, deliberate tone said, "Well, I warned you." And that was the beginning of a story that would eventually destroy everything I thought was strong and stable. That night, after the baby shower had shattered like a dropped ornament, the house felt unbearably quiet. Too quiet. Guests had left one by one, each murmuring something supportive, something soft, something that didn't matter anymore. My mother stayed longer, pretending to clean up just to make sure I wasn't alone, but even she eventually had to leave. And when the door closed behind her, the silence pressed down on me like a heavy blanket. I sat in the kitchen, staring at the lights still hanging from the ceiling, their soft pastel glow mocking the emptiness in the room. My husband hadn't come back. I didn't know where he'd gone, and for the first time in years, I didn't even know if I wanted to know. The baby moved again, gently this time, as if sensing my fear. Then my phone vibrated. A message from an unknown number. "You need to talk to him before it gets worse." No name, no explanation. Just that. My fingers trembled. I typed back immediately. "Who is this?" No reply. I stared at the screen for several minutes, waiting for the dots of a typing response that never came. Finally, I put the phone down and tried to stand up, but a strange feeling washed over me. A feeling I couldn't define. Not dread, not sadness, something else. Like someone had pulled a thread in the fabric of my life, and I felt it unraveling. The door opened at 1:37 a.m. My husband stepped inside quietly, as if trying not to wake anyone, despite knowing the house was empty. His hair was messy, his shirt wrinkled, and he smelled faintly of cigarette smoke, though he didn't smoke. He froze when he saw me in the kitchen. For a moment, neither of us spoke. "Where were you?" I finally asked, my voice calmer than I felt. He opened his mouth, closed it, then rubbed his face with his hands. "I just needed air." "You were gone for 6 hours." He flinched at the tone of my voice. "You don't understand. I cut him off. "Then help me understand." His gaze shifted to the floor. "It's complicated." Complicated. That word again. It felt like a door slamming shut. Before I could respond, we both heard a sound, a soft vibration on the table. My phone lighting up again with a new message from the same unknown number. His eyes followed the light. "Who's texting you this late?" he asked sharply. I grabbed the phone before he could reach it. "I don't know." Another message appeared. "Ask him why he really doesn't want this baby." My heart stopped. I lifted my eyes slowly, and for the first time I saw something in his face I had never seen before. Panic. Real, raw panic. His chest rose quickly, his pupils shrank, his hands curled slightly, as if ready to either defend himself or confess something terrible. "Why would someone send me this?" I whispered. He closed his eyes, breathing heavily. "Please don't listen to them." "That's not an answer." "It's someone trying to hurt us." "Hurt us," I repeated, "or warn me." He shook his head violently, as if rejecting something only he could see. No, you don't understand. They're lying. They're trying to twist things." "Then tell me the truth, right now." He opened his mouth, but then a new sound broke the tension. A sharp, deliberate knock on the front door. We both froze. It was nearly 2 in the morning. No one knocks at that hour unless something is wrong. He stepped toward the door. "Stay here." But I followed him anyway. He hesitated for a second before opening it. No one was there. Just a small, square envelope lying on the doormat. Thick paper, dark blue. No name, no address. He stared at it like it was a threat. I reached down to pick it up, but he grabbed my wrist. "Don't." "Why not?" His jaw tightened. "Because I think I know who sent it." A cold wave ran through me. "You know? Then tell me, what is going on?" He didn't answer. Not directly. He looked down at the envelope, swallowed hard, and whispered, "This is about something that happened before we met." I felt the world tilt. Before we met? And it's connected to our baby shower? He nodded once, barely. I opened the envelope despite his protest. Inside was a single photograph. My husband, standing with a woman I'd never seen before. Her face turned toward him, smiling, his hand on her stomach. A pregnant stomach. The date on the back was from 3 years before we met. My vision blurred, my breath caught. And then I saw the message written below the date. Ask him what happened to her baby. He paled like a ghost. I felt the floor beneath me shift again. And in that moment, I realized something horrifying. This wasn't just drama. This wasn't just fear, or doubt, or uncertainty. This was a secret someone was determined to bring to the surface, and they weren't going to stop until everything was exposed. My hands trembled as I held the photograph. It felt ice cold, as if it had been taken from somewhere dark, somewhere untouched by sunlight for years. My husband stared at it with a look that wasn't shock. No, it was worse. Recognition. He knew the picture. He knew the woman. He knew the story behind that swollen stomach. And he had hoped I would never learn about it. I swallowed hard, my throat tightening until it hurt. "Who is she?" He didn't answer immediately. He closed the door slowly, as if delaying the inevitable, and leaned against it, breathing shallowly. "Her name was Alina. We were together for a while." "For a while?" I repeated. "You're touching her belly like you're—" "I know," he cut in quickly. "It wasn't casual. It was serious. Serious enough for her to be pregnant with your child." His face twisted in pain, but he didn't deny it. 1,000 questions stormed through my mind. Why had he never mentioned her? What happened to baby? Why did someone send me this picture now? And why was he so afraid of every message, every shadow, every whisper? He took a shaky step closer. "Please, let me explain." I stared at the photograph again, at the date scrawled on the back. 3 years before we met. 3 years before he looked me in the eyes and promised to love me. 3 years before we decided to bring a child into our world. Explain then, because right now I'm carrying your baby and some stranger is texting me about another one. He opened his mouth, but then his phone vibrated. The sound was sharp, almost violent in the silence. I looked at the screen over his shoulder. A new message. From the same unknown number that had been messaging me earlier. "You can't hide it anymore." He scrambled to silence the phone, his hands shaking so badly that he dropped it onto the floor. When he bent to pick it up, I saw something in his posture. Fear. Deep and corrosive. "This person," I whispered. "They know everything, don't they?" He didn't look at me. "Yes." "Who are they?" His silence was the answer I didn't want. I stepped back, clutching the photograph like a shield. "What happened to her?" I whispered. "What happened to Elena? And to the baby?" He pressed his hand to his forehead. "It's not what you think." "Then what is it?" I demanded, my voice cracking. His eyes lifted to mine, glossy with something that wasn't quite tears, but close. "She disappeared." I froze. "Disappeared? What do you mean disappeared?" He swallowed hard. "One night, she just vanished. She left the apartment, said she needed air, and never came back. No calls, no messages, nothing." "And the baby?" He closed his eyes. "Gone with her." My heart pounded painfully against my ribcage. "And you didn't try to find her?" "Of course I did," he snapped, suddenly emotional. "I spent months looking for her. I filed reports. I visited her family. I hired a private investigator. No one knows where she is. It's like she vanished into thin air." His voice cracked on the last words. I didn't know what to say. Part of me wanted to believe him. Another part, the part holding the photograph, felt something sour and heavy, something that whispered one terrifying possibility. "Is that why you don't want this baby?" I asked slowly. "Because you think something bad will happen again?" He looked at me with a gaze that said he was breaking from the inside. "It's not just that." I waited. He hesitated for a long, suffocating moment before saying, "Elena wasn't just my girlfriend, and her disappearance wasn't just random." I felt my skin crawl. "What are you saying?" He ran a hand through his hair. "Before she disappeared, she told me someone was following her, watching her. She said she felt unsafe. I thought she was stressed, paranoid. But now—" A cold chill slid down my spine. "Now what?" "Now," he whispered, "someone is sending you messages. Someone left that photo. Someone knocked on our door at 2 a.m. Whoever was watching her, they're watching us now." My breath caught. "Why?" I asked. "After so many years, why now?" His voice was barely audible. "Because you're pregnant, just like she was." My knees weakened and I grabbed the table for support. "And that person," he continued, his face pale as ash, "they don't want me to have a family. Not then, not now." Before I could process his words, another knock echoed through the house. This time, louder, more forceful, deliberate. We froze. I turned toward the door. The knock came again. 3 slow, controlled taps. My husband took my arm. "Don't open it." But something inside me, fear, anger, desperation, pushed me forward. I walked toward the door, my heartbeat loud in my ears. I pulled it open. No one outside. Just another envelope. This one, black. Inside, a single sheet of paper. On it, in neat handwriting, "You're next." My breath caught in my throat, and then I noticed something written beneath it, in smaller letters. Something that made my blood run cold. "Just like Elena." The words on the paper burned into my mind. Just like Elena. My hand shook so violently that I nearly dropped it. The black envelope felt heavier than any weight I had ever carried, as if the darkness of the message had physical form. My husband stood behind me, frozen, his eyes darting from the envelope to me, as if searching for the right words, or perhaps the courage to admit the truth he had been hiding for years. I looked up at him, my voice trembling. What does this mean? Who's doing this?" He swallowed hard. The pale light of the hallway illuminated the hollow shadows under his eyes, the lines on his face that had never been there before, etched by fear and guilt. "I don't know, but it's connected to Elena. Whoever took her, they've been waiting, and now it's our turn." A cold silence fell between us. The baby inside me kicked sharply, almost violently, as if sensing the tension, the danger, the storm of secrets gathering around us. My husband's hand found mine, but it didn't bring comfort, only a trembling confirmation that he was as trapped as I was. I couldn't stop the questions spilling out, my mind racing faster than my heart. Who would do this? How could someone vanish for 3 years and now appear like a shadow to hunt me? What did Elena know that I needed to know? I need answers, I said firmly, though my voice wavered. I need to know everything. He hesitated, looking at me like I had suddenly become the only lifeline he had left. I never told anyone the full story, he admitted, and for the first time, I realized how much fear had been chained to him all these years. Elena, she wasn't just my girlfriend. She discovered something dangerous, something someone didn't want her to know. And I was involved, even if I didn't fully understand it at the time. My stomach dropped. Dangerous? What kind of dangerous? He swallowed hard, his Adam's apple bobbing with the effort of speaking. She worked at a research facility, private, off the books. She found evidence about experiments, illegal ones, people experimenting on unborn children, genetic manipulation, and she came to me for help. I felt the room tilt, my breath caught in my throat. The nursery, the decorations, the soft pastel colors, suddenly everything felt unreal, fragile, like it could shatter with a single word. And the baby? I whispered, clutching my stomach protectively. He looked away, ashamed. She was taken. I thought it was temporary. I thought she would come back. But the facility, they cover everything. They cover everyone. I tried to fight it, tried to expose them. That's why I left Elena alone. I thought hiding would keep me alive, keep me safe, keep her memory alive. I didn't know what to say. Anger, fear, betrayal, sorrow, they all collided in a storm inside me. And now someone is threatening us, sending me messages, knocking on our door? He nodded slowly. Yes, whoever did this, they've been watching me all along. Watching Elena, and now they know you're here and that you're carrying the child. My fingers dug into the envelope, my pulse raced, my mind refused to form a coherent thought. The baby kicked again, harder this time, and I shivered, thinking how innocent life could be so dangerously entangled in the shadows of the past. A sudden sound made me jump. The front door rattled. Not a knock, a shove. Someone was trying to get in. My husband moved instinctively, stepping in front of me, his hands shaking as he tried to push the door closed. The phone vibrated again, another message from the unknown number, flashing on the table. You can't hide her anymore. She's already part of it. I felt nausea rising in my throat. Part of it? What do they mean? His voice cracked. I think Elena, she was experimented on. The word hung in the air. My mind refused to grasp it fully, but the terror was instant, visceral. I stumbled backward, and my husband caught me just as a shadow appeared in the doorway. I froze. A tall figure stood in the doorway, face obscured by darkness. They didn't move, didn't speak, just watched. And yet in that silence, I felt the weight of every secret, every hidden threat, every unspoken truth pressing down on us. My husband whispered my name. Don't panic, just stay calm. But panic had already settled deep in my bones. The baby inside me kicked again, violently, as if sensing the danger lurking just a few steps away. Then the figure moved, slowly, purposefully, and I realized, with a chill that went straight through my chest, that this wasn't a random stalker. This was someone who knew every detail of our lives and every secret we thought was buried. A cold dread settled over me. In that moment, I understood the horrifying truth. The past we thought was gone, the past that was meant to stay hidden, was coming back. And nothing, not even our love, not even this baby, could protect us from what was coming next. The figure didn't move closer, not yet. It just stood there in the doorway. an ominous silhouette against the dim light spilling from the hallway. My heart pounded in my chest like a drum, each beat echoing through my entire body. I clutched my stomach instinctively, feeling the baby kick violently, almost as if it sensed the danger before I could. My husband's hand gripped mine tightly. "Stay behind me," he whispered, his voice barely audible but trembling. I nodded, though fear made my legs feel like they were filled with lead. Who are you?" I asked, my voice breaking. No answer, just the shadow. And then, without warning, the figure moved forward, deliberately, smoothly, silently. My breath caught in my throat. My mind screamed to run, but my feet refused to obey. Then the figure spoke, a calm, almost clinical voice, yet carrying an icy weight that made my blood run cold. "Do you know who I am?" My husband stiffened. "Leave her alone," he said sharply, though his voice lacked its usual authority. The figure stepped into the dim light, and then I saw her face. Pale, sharp features, eyes dark as obsidian, hair pulled back tightly. My heart skipped a beat, because she was Elena. Not a ghost, not a memory, but her presence, here, in our home at this hour, carrying the same aura of danger I'd only ever felt from whispered rumors. Elena's gaze fell on me. "I'm here for him," she said, softly, almost like a whisper of wind cutting through a storm. "I'm here for the child he promised me." I stumbled backward. "Child? What are you talking about?" My husband's face turned pale as he stepped forward, trying to shield me. "Elena, please," he said, "this isn't the time. It's the only time. Do you think I would wait 3 years in silence, hiding, watching, and letting you bring another life into the world without knowing the truth?" My hands shook. The baby kicked sharply, and I gasped. "What truth?" I demanded, my voice rising, trembling with both fear and anger. Elena's eyes softened just for a moment and then hardened again. "I am not threatening you," she said. "I'm warning you. He promised me, and you need to know what that promise cost him, what it cost everyone." My husband swallowed hard. "It's not her fault," he muttered. "It's complicated." Complicated? Doesn't explain what they did to me. Complicated doesn't explain what they wanted to do to the child. Complicated doesn't explain why I had to disappear and why you, of all people, are only now learning the truth. I felt like I was suffocating. Every fiber of my being screamed at me to run, to escape, to leave this house and never look back. But my legs refused. I had to know. I had to know the truth. Elena stepped closer, and then she pulled something from her coat pocket. A small, worn folder, edges frayed, paper yellowed from years of secrecy. She opened it and placed it on the table between us. Inside were photographs, documents, and handwritten notes. My hands trembled as I picked one up. There it was, my husband, younger, smiling, holding a tiny baby swaddled in a blanket. The handwriting at the bottom read, "Born to protect, born to survive, born to remember." I looked up, and Lena's eyes were fixed on him. "You promised you'd protect them. You promised me you'd never let them hurt another child. And yet," her gaze shifted toward me, "here we are." My husband closed his eyes. His hands shook. "I thought it was over," he whispered. "I thought I had escaped it. I thought hiding would keep everyone safe." Elena's expression hardened. "You never escaped. And now, this child, your child with her, is marked the same way. The same eyes, the same fate, the same danger. Do you understand what that means?" I felt my stomach drop. Marked? Fate? Danger? What are you talking about? She leaned forward, her voice low and urgent. "The people who took me, who experimented on Elena, they've been waiting for this, waiting for the child he promised me, waiting for the moment when he would try to start over, waiting for the moment when you would think it was safe. They are coming." I gasped. My husband grabbed my hands, trembling. "We have to leave. We have to disappear, now, before it's too late." But Elena shook her head. "Running won't help. Not now, not ever. You have to face it. You have to understand what they are capable of. Only then can you survive." A sudden chill ran through the room. The baby kicked violently, almost knocking me to my knees. I realized then, with a cold, sinking horror, that our lives, this house, this moment, none of it was safe. Nothing would ever be safe again. And as I looked at Elena, standing there in the shadows of our living room, I knew one terrifying truth. The past had come back not to haunt us. It had come back to control us. The room was silent except for our breathing and the occasional kick from the baby. Elena's eyes never left my husband, but the weight of her stare seemed to press down on all of us. I felt frozen, caught between fear, disbelief, and a strange, undeniable curiosity, the kind that gnaws at your soul when the unknown presses too close. "She's coming," Elena said suddenly, her voice low, almost a whisper. "They know where we are. They've been watching, planning, and now—" She paused, letting the words hang in the air like a blade. "Now they want the child." I felt my heart seize. "The child?" I echoed, my voice trembling so violently that I could barely speak. "Why would anyone want my child?" "They're not human," Elena said coldly, her face unreadable. "Not entirely. I've seen what they can do. The experiments, the manipulations, the control over life itself. They take what they want and they never stop until it's theirs." My husband sank onto the couch, burying his face in his hands. "I thought I was protecting you. I thought I could start over, forget the past. But I was wrong. They've always been ahead of me, always watching, always waiting." The baby kicked again, hard, and I felt a wave of panic wash over me. I clutched my stomach as if I could somehow shield the child from the invisible danger pressing in from all sides. Elena stepped closer to the envelope, flipping through the folder of documents and photos. "This child," she said, pointing to one of the photos, "is not just another life. They've been tracking the bloodline, the genetics, the potential. And now, it's time." I felt a shiver run down my spine. Every instinct screamed at me to flee, to run into the night and never look back. But I couldn't. I couldn't leave my husband, and more importantly, I couldn't leave my child vulnerable. The front door slammed open suddenly, and a gust of cold air swept into the room. Shadows flickered across the walls. I froze, my pulse hammering. A voice calm and menacing called out from the darkness of the hallway. "We know you're here." My husband sprang to his feet. "Who's there?" he demanded. But the voice only laughed softly, a sound that made my blood run cold. "They've found us," Elena said, moving in front of me. "They know who you are, what you've done, and now they want to finish what they started. There is no running, no hiding. The only way to survive is to face them." I felt my legs give out beneath me. My husband grabbed me before I collapsed, his grip tight but shaky. "We'll protect the baby," he said, more to himself than to me. "No matter what it takes." Elena nodded. "Good, because it begins tonight." Suddenly the lights flickered, and I saw shadows moving along the walls, shapes too tall and fast to be human. A cold metallic scent filled the air. My baby kicked violently, and I felt it as a wave of energy, almost like a warning, like the child inside me sensed the approaching danger long before we could. The front door burst open again, this time with force, revealing figures in dark coats, faces obscured. They moved silently, deliberately, a terrifying precision in their steps. Elena drew herself up. "Stay behind me," she commanded. "And whatever happens, trust no one." I glanced at my husband, whose eyes were wide with fear and determination. "We have to fight," he whispered. "We have no choice." The figures advanced. I felt my stomach tighten as the baby inside me moved violently, almost as if trying to warn us, to protect us in some instinctual, primal way. And in that moment, I realized the terrifying truth. The past, Elena, the threats, the shadows, they weren't coming for us because of anything we had done. They were coming for the child. The child who carried the same bloodline, the same fate, the same legacy that had started with Elena. And as the first figure stepped fully into the room, revealing a face hidden beneath a hood, I understood that everything we thought we knew about safety, about love, about family, was a lie. The real story, the dangerous story, had only just begun. The figure in the hood stepped closer, and I could finally see their face. A young woman, pale and cold, eyes sharp and calculating. Elena didn't flinch. Instead, she straightened, her presence commanding, almost supernatural. "You shouldn't have come here," she said, her voice low but cutting through the tension like a knife. The woman tilted her head, smirking. "We've been watching for years. You can't hide him, and you can't hide the child. Not from us, not from what's coming." My husband stepped forward, fists clenched. "Who are you? What do you want?" The woman's smile widened, chilling in its intensity. "I want what's owed. The child carries a lineage, a potential they've been waiting for, and we make sure it doesn't get wasted." My blood ran cold. The words weren't just threats. They were promises of something dark, calculated, unstoppable. I gripped my stomach as the baby kicked violently, almost as if sensing the danger looming in the room. Elena's gaze flicked to my husband. "You didn't tell her everything," she said sharply. "And now we have to fix it, before it's too late." I turned to him, my voice trembling. "What didn't you tell me? What are you hiding?" He swallowed, his face pale. I promised Elena I'd protect her, but I didn't know who else was involved, or how deep it went. There's more than just experiments. There are people, powerful people, dangerous beyond anything you can imagine. I thought by hiding, by leaving her alone, I could keep everyone safe. Elena stepped forward. "Safe? We were never safe, and now they know where we are. They're going to come for the child, for both of you, and there's no one else to trust." I felt panic rise in me, suffocating and raw. Then what do we do? How do we survive this? Elena's eyes met mine, unwavering. "We fight, but not like normal people. There are rules, secrets, and strategies you don't understand yet. If you follow me, I can show you how, but if you disobey, they will take everything." Before I could respond, the front window shattered. Glass flew across the room. The hooded figure moved faster than I could comprehend, gliding into the room with precision. My husband lunged forward, but the figure was gone, replaced instantly by a shadow moving toward the hallway. The baby kicked violently, and I cried out, clutching my stomach. "They're after the baby!" Elena's eyes hardened. "Exactly. That's why you need to trust me completely. This isn't about fear anymore. It's about survival. And if we don't act now, everything we care about will be gone. Just like Elena's child." I froze at her words, remembering the photograph, the folder, the secrets. My mind reeled. "Wait, Elena, you said her child was taken. That was your baby?" Elena's face softened for a fleeting moment, almost human, almost vulnerable. "Yes, but I survived. I came back for you and this child because I will not let history repeat itself. I cannot let them win again." My husband turned to me, desperation in his eyes. "We have to trust her. I know it's terrifying, but she knows more about them than anyone alive. She can save us, save the baby." I nodded. fear and determination colliding in a storm inside me. Then what do we do? Elena reached into her coat and pulled out a small device, black and metallic, glowing faintly. "This," she said, "will protect the child's signal, hide it from anyone tracking them. But it's only temporary. We need a safe place, and we need to move before they strike again." Suddenly, a loud crash came from upstairs, the sound of heavy footsteps, deliberate and menacing. The house seemed to shake with the weight of the unseen threat. "They're here," Elena said, voice low and urgent. "And they won't stop until they have the child. Every second we waste, every hesitation, could be fatal." My baby kicked again, violently, and I felt a wave of terror unlike anything I had ever known. I realized then that nothing, not our love, not our plans, not our hope, could protect us if we didn't act. Elena's eyes locked on mine. "We have to leave. Now. And once we step outside, there's no turning back." My husband grabbed my hand, gripping it like a lifeline. "We can survive this, but we have to trust her completely. No questions, no second guessing." I took a deep breath, clutching my stomach, feeling the baby inside me move as if understanding everything. My heart raced, my mind screamed, but I knew he was right. There was no choice. Survival demanded trust, courage, and sacrifice. Elena stepped toward the door. "Follow me, and remember, one wrong move, and it's over. One wrong step, and history will repeat itself." I swallowed hard, took another breath, and together with my husband, we stepped into the night, leaving behind the house that once felt safe, into the unknown shadows of a past that refused to stay buried. And I knew, with every fiber of my being, that nothing would ever be the same again. We moved quickly, the cool night air biting at our skin, as Elena led us through narrow streets I had never seen before. My husband's grip on my hand was tight, almost desperate, and I clutched my stomach as if sheer will could shield the baby from what we didn't yet understand. "They're close," Elena whispered, glancing over her shoulder. "Closer than you think. They've been tracking every move since you left the house, every message, every call, every breath. And now, they know you're on the run." I shivered. Who are they really? Why us? Elena's eyes hardened. "Because of the bloodline. The child you carry isn't just ordinary. They've been planning this for decades, controlling genetics, manipulating life, and they will stop at nothing to obtain what they believe is theirs." My husband swallowed hard. "Decades? What do you mean, decades?" Elena didn't answer immediately. Instead, she pulled a small device from her coat, the same metallic black from before, and waved it. A faint glow illuminated her face. "This device will scramble any trackers they've implanted, but it's only temporary. We need to find a place where the child can't be traced, somewhere they can't reach." I felt panic clawing at me. The baby kicked violently, almost in protest, as if sensing the gravity of the moment. "And if we fail?" I whispered. Elena's expression was cold, unwavering, almost fierce. Failure is not an option. Not for this child, not for you, not for him. The streets were eerily silent. Shadows seemed to stretch unnaturally, and every distant sound, a car engine, a dog barking, a door creaking, made my pulse spike. I could feel my husband's tension as sharply as my own, his jaw tight, his eyes scanning every corner. Suddenly, a low hum filled the air, a faint electronic vibration that made my teeth chatter. Elena stopped abruptly, crouching behind a corner. "They're here. Drones. Small, fast, lethal. They've been following us. We need to move now." We ran, winding through alleys and abandoned streets, hearts pounding, breaths ragged. I clutched my stomach, the baby kicking violently as if urging us to keep going. Every shadow seemed alive, every sound a warning. After what felt like hours, we reached a secluded building, an old warehouse hidden behind overgrown vines. Elena led us inside, shutting a heavy metal door behind her. The faint hum of the drones disappeared. For a moment, silence, almost oppressive, filled the room. My husband slumped against a wall, breathing hard. "We made it," he whispered, though his voice was shaky, uncertain. Elena shook her head. "Not yet. They're relentless. They'll find us, and they have allies we don't know about." I felt my stomach tighten again. Allies? Who else? Elena's eyes darkened. "People you trust. People close to you. They've infiltrated everything, and if you let your guard down for a second, they'll strike." My mind reeled. Every friend, every neighbor, every familiar face suddenly seemed suspect. Fear gnawed at me like a living thing. A sudden noise made us all jump, a faint creak of metal on the floor above. My husband went rigid, his fists clenching. Elena's eyes narrowed. They're testing us, trying to scare us, to make us panic. But fear will kill faster than anything else. I swallowed hard, my hands shaking. How do we stop them? Elena's gaze met mine, unwavering, almost fierce. "We don't stop them. Not yet. We survive. We protect the child. And then, when the time is right, we fight." A cold chill swept through the warehouse. I felt the baby kick violently again, almost in alarm. And I realized with a terrifying clarity, the child inside me wasn't just innocent life. It was a beacon, a target. And everything we'd done, every step we'd taken, had only drawn the enemy closer. The shadows of the past, Elena's secrets, the threats that had stalked my husband for years, they were all here now. And the real hunt was only just beginning. The warehouse was silent, except for our breathing and the faint hum of the device Elena had activated. Every shadow seemed alive, every sound magnified, as if the walls themselves were listening. My husband and I huddled together, clutching my stomach, feeling the baby kick violently, almost as if sensing the danger we could not yet see. Elena paced in front of us, her eyes sharp and calculating. "They know where we are, and they know the child is here. We have only one chance, to confront them before they strike." I swallowed hard. "Confront them? How? We're not soldiers. We're just ordinary people." Elena's gaze hardened. "Ordinary doesn't matter. The ordinary can survive if it fights smart. And this child is extraordinary. We protect it at all costs. That is the only rule." Suddenly, a loud crash echoed from the entrance. The shadows of figures moved swiftly across the walls. They had found us. My husband grabbed my hand, eyes wide with fear and determination. "We have to stay together," he whispered, "no matter what." Elena pulled out another small device, a compact metallic box with blinking lights. She said, "This will block their trackers temporarily, but the rest depends on our strategy, our courage, and their mistakes. They always underestimate fear and love." The door burst open. Figures cloaked in black stepped into the warehouse, faces obscured. One advanced towards us, slow, deliberate. My stomach twisted as the baby kicked violently, and I knew instinctively that our child was the center of all this danger. Elena stepped forward, her voice calm but commanding. "You will not touch them. You will not take what belongs to the innocent. Leave now or face the consequences." The figures froze, and for a tense moment, nothing moved. Then a voice sharp and familiar echoed from the shadows. "Elena, you think you can stop what's already begun." A man stepped forward, his face half hidden, eyes cold and calculating. My husband's jaw tightened. "He's one of them," I whispered, fear clutching my chest. Elena didn't flinch. "Yes, but he underestimates us. He underestimates me, and he underestimates the strength of what is truly human." A battle of wits and movement erupted. Figures lunged, devices flashed, shadows collided. My husband grabbed a metal pipe, defending us, while I clutched my stomach, trying to stay out of the chaos, but feeling every brush of danger like fire.
Suddenly, a bright light erupted from Elena's device, sending a wave of energy that disoriented the intruders. The air was filled with shouting, the clash of metal, and the rapid beating of my heart. And then, in the midst of it all, I saw him, the man who had haunted Elena, who had caused so much pain, standing stunned as the device blocked their trackers. Elena moved with precision, her past years of fear and survival channeled into action. My husband fought beside her, determination giving him strength I hadn't seen before. And then, as quickly as it had begun, the figures retreated, disappearing into the night, their threat temporarily contained. The warehouse fell silent. Our breaths were ragged, our bodies trembling. But we were alive. The baby inside me kicked gently now, as if reassured. Elena turned to us, her eyes softer, almost human again. It's over. For now. But the world out there, the people who want to control life, they will return. Always. That's why you must remain vigilant. But you survived. You protected the child, and that is the most important victory of all. My husband pulled me close, holding me and the baby as if nothing could ever separate us again. I felt tears streaming down my face, a mixture of relief, fear, and love stronger than I had ever known. I realized then that the past, with all its shadows and secrets, could not destroy what was truly human: courage, love, and the will to protect the innocent. We had survived the hunt. We had survived the reckoning. And as the first light of dawn touched the warehouse windows, I felt a flicker of hope, a fragile, precious hope, for the baby, for us, and for the life we would fight to protect no matter what storms came next. The story was not over. Not yet. But we had won this battle, and in that victory, we found the strength to face whatever lay ahead.